last section of this semester focuses on slope-intercept form. So we're going to use slope-intercept form a lot in the second semester, but it is introduced here so that we can start to get our feet wet with it. Both of the IXLs that are assigned today involve slope-intercept form. So, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So you will use this pretty much in every level of math in high school. Every level of math in high school uses y equals mx plus b. X and y would represent variables. M and b would represent numbers. So, we learned last week that the letter M represents the slope, or rate of change. The B represents the y-intercept, or the initial amount, or the starting amount. So if you had, for example, y equals 2x plus 1, put the formula directly underneath it. The slope is whatever number is in front of x. The y-intercept is the number that's behind it. So m would equal 2, so you can write it as is, or you can write it as a fraction. The y-intercept would be 1. Even if it was written backwards, it means the exact same thing. Y-intercept is 1, the slope is 2. So we have to know how to identify it in order to be able to graph it, which we will do in a second. So let's practice identifying it before we start graphing. Alright, so once again, the slope is the M, the y-intercept is the B. So the first few problems, we're just going to identify slope and y-intercept. So example 1, we got y equals 2/3 x plus 6. We're going to put the formula right on top. So again, the slope is the number in front of x. Go ahead, Amari, I saw you come off of mute. Go ahead. There you go. So the slope is 2/3. The y-intercept is 6. All that problem asks you to do. All that the problem asks you to do. So let's do example 2. Y equals negative 5x minus 2. Same rules apply. I wrote the formula directly underneath the problem. So what's the slope? Which number remember? So we don't include the x. We are going to include the 5, but there's something in front of that 5. negative 5. So you can write it as negative 5, or you can write it as negative 5 over 1. That's your slope. What's our y-intercept? Alright, so you have 2. There's a minus sign sitting in front of that 2. So you take the minus sign with it. So remember, whatever sign is in front of the number, you have to take it with it. If there's a plus sign in front, it comes with it. So let's look at example 3. So example 3, y equals negative 4 over 5x. So again, I'll put my formula underneath. What's the slope? Slope, we have a y-intercept. Negative 4 over 5. So when you give the slope, do not include the x when you type it in. If you type in the x on the IXL, the IXL is going to mark it wrong. The slope is just a number. Now notice for the y-intercept, there's no number sitting above it. No number sitting up there. So there is no number sitting where B should be located. So what do you think the y-intercept is going to be? 0. 0. You're on the right track. So there's no x term. So that means if you have y equals 3, but there's no x variable, that means the slope would be 0. And you're about to see an example of that right now. Example 4. Y equals 6. So you have y equals 6. If I put the formula directly underneath it, these two don't match. The 6 doesn't have an x attached to it. So the 6 should be over there where B is located. So that means, what is B equal to? B is equal to 6. But that means this part is blank. So if that's blank, what's the slope? That one's 0.
So if it's supposed to be the m, it will always have x next to it.
So if it's supposed to be a slope, then it should be attached to the variable x. So the slope is the number that's attached to x. The y-intercept is the number that has no variable attached to it. But that is, of course, if it's y equals. If it's x equals, then you have a completely different story. Let's think about x equals 3. And this is a problem that was similar to what was on your quiz this past weekend. If I graph this, x equals 3. Is that a vertical line or a horizontal line? This is a vertical line. Y equals 6 would be a horizontal line. So, vertical line. Go to the x-axis, put a point on 3, go somewhere above it or below it, put another point, and you draw your vertical line. So if you have a vertical line, what does the slope have to be? Huh? So think about what happened last week. There's 4 types of slope. One of them goes with a vertical line.
It's undefined.
That is undefined. Remember, if the line slants up, that's a positive slope. If the line slants down, it's negative slope. If the line is horizontal, that's 0 slope. If the line is vertical, it is undefined slope. So the slope is undefined, and the y-intercept, there is none. If you have a vertical line, there is no slope. There is an undefined slope, and there's no y-intercept. And math builds upon itself. So, if you don't understand one concept, you have to learn and have to ask, because it's going to build on top of something else. Any questions on identifying slopes and y-intercepts? Before we do our first example with graphing it. So one of your 2 IXLs is on identifying slope and y-intercept. We've now done that. So the IXL will be for you to practice. Now let's graph. Now we're going to graph. So remember, there are 3 ways to graph a linear equation that are easier than making a table. One of them is a vertical or horizontal line, which we did last week. One of them is x and y intercepts, which we did last week. And the third one is slope-intercept form, which is what we're about to do right now. So if they don't ask you to make a table, don't do it. Do it in the easy way. Step one, rewrite the equation into slope-intercept form. What that means is your equation should be in the format y equals something. So one of the extra credit questions on your quiz told you to rewrite the equation. So if you did it, great. If you didn't, okay, you did it. So for example, 1, we don't have to rewrite it. It's already y equals. So it's already in the correct format. Step 2, identify the slope and the y-intercept. We're going to put the formula directly underneath. So that means the slope is 2/3 and the y-intercept is 6. Questions before we continue? Please ask.
Whenever we are basically much on a test, we have to actually separate and put M into 23 and B into 6 when we graphing it.
If it asks you to,
Okay.
I would always be in the habit of doing it because if for some reason you do this problem wrong, I can still give you partial credit for having at least identified that.
Okay.
All right, step 3. Plot the y-intercept on the y-axis first. So, go to the y-axis, find where 6 would be, and put a dot on it. So there you go. Step 4, with your pencil on the y-intercept, use your slope to plot as many points as you can using rise over run. So remember, rise over run means you're going up and you're going either left or right. You go left if your slope was negative. You go to the right if your slope was positive. So since your slope is positive 2/3, you're going to go up 2 and to the right 3. So go back to the point that you just put. Go up 2, go to the right 3, put another point. Go up 2, go to the right 3, put another point. Now, you don't have to draw it as stairs the way I did it. I just did it so that you could see how I count. I don't have any more space, so you draw your line from there. Hopefully yours is a lot better line than mine. That's it. Graph's over. Questions, example 1. So rise means you got to go up. So the first number was a 2. So that means you got to go up 2 spaces. The run tells you whether you're going left or right. But that depends on whether the number was positive or negative. If it was negative, you would run to the left. If it's positive, then you would run to the right. Since this is positive, that means you're going to go up 2 and to the right 3 times. So you go back to the point, go back to your y-intercept, and then you go up, 1, 2, and to the right, 1, 2, 3. Up, 1, 2, to the right, 1, 2, 3. And then you draw your line. Any other questions? Example 1. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna rush or